people, a moderate Muslim. Joko Widodo is the president of Indonesia. This month, we sit down with Jokowi in his first international TV interview since his re-election to talk about the desperate need for change and economic reform.
Do you feel that you have the mandate to accomplish these goals?
If I can, I will fight to the best of my ability.
And get his thoughts on the rise of Islamic fundamentalism.
Talk Asia, today on CNN.
We try to be global and we try to be smart. And we try very hard to get both of those every week. What I want to hear are authentic voices of people who are passionate or intelligent about a subject, who will make you smarter, move you emotionally, who will kind of challenge your mind or move your heart. And that's the consistency that we try to get at.
Fareed Zakaria, GPS, Sunday on CNN.
I'm Patrick Upman in Havana, Cuba. This is CNN.
Ahead this hour, the big debate question: who can beat Donald Trump, a progressive or a moderate? We'll look at the bruising first night of the Democratic debate and preview round two tonight. Plus, the wife of Dubai's ruler goes to a London court asking for a forced marriage protection order. We'll explain that story. And when you think of the West Bank, you probably don't think of beer. We're going to look at one brewery's struggles and what that has to do with the US president's son-in-law. All that and much more right here at the International Desk. Welcome, I'm Lynda Kinkade. Good to have you with us. The front runner takes center stage in about 10 hours right here on CNN for the second of this week's Democratic presidential debates. You're looking right now at that live stage where Joe Biden and 9 of his Democratic challengers will stand tonight. Kamala Harris and Cory Booker will be either side of Biden, and they have each made pointed attacks on the front runner on the issue of race. Well, Tuesday's night debate featured 2 of the most progressive candidates in the field, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Many of the more moderate Democrats on that stage questioning their policies, asking whether a far-left candidate can beat Donald Trump. Well, joining us from Detroit is CNN's Athena Jones. Athena, good to see you again. There was, of course, a lot of passion on display on that stage last night. We saw Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders pretty much being attacked by others on the stage, saying that their plans are unrealistic.
Exactly. That was the dominant theme last night, Lynda. And it was interesting because Warren and Sanders kind of seemed to work together, kind of tag teaming the attacks on policy coming from the more moderate candidates. Those moderate candidates wanting to point out that, look, some of the things you're proposing, Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, wealth tax on millionaires, these are extreme ideas. They are unrealistic. They're simply not going to work. But Warren and Sanders did a pretty good job of fending off those attacks while avoiding clashing with each other.
The ideological divides within the Democratic Party on full display last night.
Folks seem more concerned about scoring points or outdoing each other with wish list economics.
You're going to hear a lot of promises up here.
We can go down the road that Senator Sanders and Senator Warren want to take us, with bad policies like Medicare for all, free everything, and impossible promises that'll turn off independent voters and get Trump reelected.
What do you say to Congressman Delaney?
You're wrong.
The moderates clashing with Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, questioning their electability with their progressive agendas and slamming their key domestic proposal, Medicare for all.
I'm saying the policies of this notion that you're going to take private insurance away from 180 million Americans, who many of them don't want to give it. Many of them do want to get rid of it, but some don't. That is a disaster at the ballot box. You might as well FedEx the election to Donald Trump.
Well, the truth is that every credible poll that I have seen has me beating Donald Trump.
Sanders standing by his plans.
They will be better because Medicare for all is comprehensive. It covers all health care needs. For senior citizens, it will finally include dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses.
But you don't know.
Second of all,
you don't know that,
Second
Bernie.
of all,
We'll come to you in a second,
I do know, and I wrote the damn bill.
Instead of attacking each other, Sanders and Warren appeared united in defending their agendas.
So I think Democrats win when we run on real solutions, not impossible promises. When we run on things that are workable, not fairy tale economics.
You know, I don't understand why anybody goes to all the trouble of running for president of the United States just to talk about what we really can't do and shouldn't fight for.
To win this election and to defeat Donald Trump, which, by the way, in my view, is not going to be easy, we need to have a campaign of energy and excitement and of vision. I get a little bit tired of Democrats afraid of big ideas. Republicans are not afraid of big ideas.
Other candidates, like Mayor Pete Buttigieg, saying the focus should stay on defeating President Trump instead of taking down fellow Democrats.
It is time to stop worrying about what the Republicans will say. Look, if it's true that if we embrace a far-left agenda, they're going to say we're a bunch of crazy socialists. If we embrace a conservative agenda, you know what they're going to do? They're going to say we're a bunch of crazy socialists. So let's just stand up for the right policy, go out there and defend it.
Warren blasting Trump when questioned about white supremacy fueling domestic terrorism in the wake of the latest mass shooting in California.
Call out white supremacy for what it is, domestic terrorism, and it poses a threat to the United States of America. We live in a country now where the president is advancing environmental racism, economic racism, criminal justice racism, healthcare racism.
Beto O'Rourke highlighting his call for a new Voting Rights Act to address systemic racism.
The legacy of slavery and segregation and Jim Crow and suppression is alive and well in every aspect of the economy and in the country.
Political outsider author Marianne Williamson also issuing a warning to more seasoned candidates.
The entire conversation that we're having here tonight, if you think any of this wonkiness is going to deal with this dark psychic force of the collectivized hatred that this president is bringing up in this country, then I'm afraid that the Democrats are going to see some very dark days.
Well, that was last night, and if you didn't get enough of it last night, we've got the second debate tonight, and of course, front and center will be former Vice President Joe Biden. And of course, after last debate, there were a lot of questions about his age, so he's got a lot to prove tonight.
He sure does, Lynda. The bar is high for him. He had an underwhelming performance at the Miami debate. We also know that other candidates have signaled they're going to attack him. They're going to confront him. Folks like Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, they've been outwardly critical. Also, other candidates like Kirsten Gillibrand and have hinted that they're going to go after Biden. So he has said he's going to be more aggressive in fighting back. We will be watching closely to see just how aggressive he is, how good a job he does of defending himself, while also making a compelling, affirmative, persuasive case for his candidacy, which we didn't really see him do in Miami. He has to have a bigger and more memorable presence on the stage tonight, or he's going to add a lot more worries to the list of worries his allies had coming out of Miami. Lynda?
Yes, absolutely. Athena Jones for us in Detroit. Good to have you there for us. Thanks so much. Well, of course, don't miss round 2 of the Democratic debate with frontrunner Joe Biden. That is live on CNN, beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern Time in the United States, 8 a.m. Thursday in Hong Kong. Well, the current U.S. president, meanwhile, is dealing with renewed threats from North Korea. Pyongyang is warning the U.S. and South Korea to cancel their, quote, reckless and suicidal upcoming military exercises. Hours earlier, North Korea launched 2 short-range missiles, the second launch in less than a week. But Seoul says it's going to maintain its military readiness. Ivan Watson reports.
North Korea engaged in some pre-dawn saber-rattling with what South Korea says was the launch of 2 short-range ballistic missiles around 5 a.m. on Wednesday off of North Korea's eastern coast into the sea. Now, this comes a month exactly after President Trump had his first historic steps across the line of demarcation in the demilitarized zone with the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un. And it's actually the second short-range ballistic missile launch carried out by North Korea in less than a week. It is engaging in these activities more and more frequently. There was a previous launch that took place in early May. Now, the Trump administration has been downplaying these missile launches, a U.S. official saying that this was no threat to the U.S. or to any of its allies. The South Korean government is not downplaying the missile launch. There was an emergency meeting of South Korea's National Security Council, and it issued a statement expressing concern about the missile launches, saying that they threatened to hurt the ongoing peace process on the Korean peninsula. And this isn't the only saber-rattling that North Korea has been engaged in. It unveiled recently what it says is a new submarine. The South Korean government says that it could potentially be used to launch submarine-launched ballistic missiles. The Trump administration is, of course, very heavily invested in President Trump's one-on-one personal diplomacy with Kim Jong-un, and the administration says that the two sides are trying to work towards reestablishing face-to-face working-level negotiations, but the time schedule has slipped. After that meeting that took place a month ago, President Trump said the meeting would take place within a matter of weeks. Well, it's been a month. Ivan Watson, CNN, Hong Kong.
Thanks to Ivan Watson. There were also in Hong Kong police condemning violent acts that happened early Wednesday as police were protesting outside a police station. It's the latest incident in the country's ever-deepening political crisis. Well, 6 people were injured when a car drove by, shot fireworks at the protesters and then left. Well, meanwhile, a judge has granted bail for 44 of the 45 people who were charged with rioting during Sunday's illegal protest. Demonstrators had defied orders to remain in one area. One person didn't show up to court. A rioting conviction could mean up to 10 years in prison. Well, the 6th wife of Dubai's billionaire ruler is seeking an order to prevent the forced marriage of one of their children. That's according to Reuters. Princess Haya appeared in a London court earlier. The UK's Press Association reported the princess also asked that their 2 children be made wards of the state. Well, CNN's Nina Dos Santos joins us now from London with more on all of this. And Nina, this is essentially a custody battle, but what makes this so intriguing is the fact that it involves a billionaire ruler of Dubai and a princess from Jordan.
Yes, that's right. Well, Princess Haya was already a princess before she married Sheikh Mohammed of Dubai, the ruler of that emirate. She was actually is the daughter of the late King Hussein of Jordan, and that makes her the half-sister of the current King of Jordan. She's somebody who's very well known on the international stage. She's a keen equestrian. She, in fact, competed for Jordan in the Sydney Olympic Games back in the year 2000, and she's somebody who shares a keen passion for horses with the royal family. She's often been seen photographed with Her Majesty the Queen. She's said to be close to the Duchess, well, to Camilla and Charles, the heir-in-waiting, of course, to the British throne. So, obviously, the fact that this case is being heard in the United Kingdom is coming at a time, potentially, that could strain diplomatic relations between the UK, whose royal family has very close ties to the rulers of the United Arab Emirates. She, as I was saying before, is very well known internationally. There are some really severe or important court restrictions, reporting restrictions that we have to be aware of when reporting this particular case. Having said that, though, broadly speaking, what we do know, Lynda, is that she, as you said in your introduction, has asked for one of her children to be granted protection from being forced into wedlock. She's also asked that her 2 children with Sheikh Mohammed are made wards of court. That would allow the British justice system to have a say on any material and important decisions on their future. And she has requested a non-molestation order for herself. So we've seen her 2 days in this British court. But so far, CNN and other international broadcasters have not been allowed inside the court as per those reporting restrictions in place. Lynda?
All right, Nina Dos Santos, certainly a fascinating story. Good to have you on it. Thanks so much. Well, in Rome, police will be conducting forensic tests in the hotel room of 2 American teenagers being held for the gruesome killing of a plainclothes police officer. It's a case that has outraged many in Italy. These 2 American teenagers are charged with the stabbing death of Mario Ciarcello Rega. Police say they confessed after a botched attempt to buy cocaine. Authorities say they recovered this weapon belonging to one of the suspects earlier, stashed in a ceiling panel in their hotel room. Meanwhile, family members of the suspects are now arriving in Rome. I want to go to Melissa Bell for the latest on this story. Melissa, certainly condemnation over the way the accused were treated after being arrested by police. But from what we're hearing, it sounds like the interrogation is still valid.
Well, an investigation has been launched, Lynda, both into why one of those teens was blindfolded and how that photograph came to be leaked to the Italian press. So whilst that is under investigation, the main investigation into the events of early last Friday morning here in Rome continue to be investigated by prosecuting authorities. We've now had a ruling from the investigating magistrate who ruled over the weekend that the two boys should be detained a little longer. Now, bear in mind that under Italian law, they can be held without charge for up to a year. So this could take some time. The investigation continues, and meanwhile, we've been checking out the various locations that are mentioned in that investigating magistrate's ruling, Lynda, to try and get a better idea of exactly what happened according to Italian authorities on that night. This is the street where that botched drug deal at the very beginning of the terrible events that were to unfold later in the night took place, and just before the CCTV images you're about to see of the two young American men running off with a backpack they'd stolen, allegedly, from the man they'd originally contacted about finding drugs. American teenagers Finnegan Elder and Natal Yoroth running through the streets of Rome in the early hours of Friday morning, carrying a rucksack they'd allegedly just stolen after a botched drug deal.
We examined the surveillance footage of both Trastevere and the road the fugitives took to the Hotel Méridien, and by comparing them, we managed to identify these two Americans.
What happened next has shocked the country. According to Italian authorities, a police officer, Mario Cercello Rega, tried to stop the pair, but was stabbed to death.
They were after money and drugs. We have clear evidence indicating that.
Police say the two Americans had arranged to meet the owner of the bag to return it in exchange for money and drugs. They weren't expecting police to turn up instead.
And as soon as they identified themselves as carabinieri, they were unexpectedly and immediately assaulted.
Police say Cercello was stabbed 11 times. According to court documents, Elder was carrying a 7-inch knife and also confessed to the stabbing. Police say he'd brought the knife with him from the United States.
Some of the stab wounds went straight through the body the length of the blade, through the stomach, the spine, and the intestines, so it was impossible to react.
The two teenagers dispute the police account, saying the plain-clothed officers did not identify themselves as Italian police. But the pair have now seemingly turned on each other. Natal claims he was not aware that Elder was carrying a knife. His lawyer issued a statement saying,
Mr. Natal has clarified his position, which is completely extraneous to the unpredictable conduct of others, which led to the death of a servant of the state.
Under Italian law, the two suspects can be held in custody for up to 6 months, if not longer, before any charges are filed for a crime that has outraged the country. Now, what we know, and I think it's really important to make this point, Lynda, and to understand it, everything that we know so far, everything you've just heard into that look back of the events, we know from Italian court documents, we know from prosecuting authorities, and we know from the ruling of the investigating magistrate. We have yet to hear directly from the Americans themselves, or from their lawyers, or indeed from their families. Both the families of both men have now arrived in Rome, but for the time being, all of their entourage would be remaining entirely tight-lipped, and so we don't know directly from them or any of their lawyers or their families what their version of events is. Lynda.
A very important side of this story. Melissa Bell, good to have you with us. Thanks so much. We have some hair-raising video to show you now from China. A 3-year-old boy is safe after this happened on Monday. You can see there him hanging out of an apartment window 6 floors up. Neighbors gathered below and amazingly caught him in a blanket. Police say the boy was left alone while his grandmother went out shopping for groceries. Well, thanks to those quick-thinking neighbors, he walked away unhurt. Incredible. Well, still to come here at the international desk, a family in California talks about the horror of losing a 13-year-old girl in Sunday's shooting at a food festival in California. The grief, the guilt, the anger, and the massacre that left in so many lives. We'll have that story ahead in a live report.
This is Kate.
Hey.
She takes 2 prescriptions. Kate's son Jack takes one too. Kate works hard and thought she had good insurance, but she still pays too much. That's no good. So Kate downloaded the GoodRx app. Now she can compare prescription prices to find the best discounts. She even beats her insurance price. Good for you, Kate. Good for you. GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
I got a certain way I like to do things. I like Consumer Cellular. I get unlimited talk and text for just $25 a month with no contract. They received the J.D. Power Award for highest customer service again.
And Consumer Cellular has been an approved AARP provider since 2008, so we trust them. Reliable nationwide coverage for way less money? That's the way
we like it.
Get wireless the way you like it. Call, go online, or find us at Target.
Got an idea for an invention, but don't know what to do next? Call my friends at InventHelp. They've been helping inventors for 35 years. It's easy.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Your idea deserves a chance. Don't wonder what to do next. Step into the ring and take your best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Take action and get the help you need from InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-417-0838. That's 800-417-0838.
Welcome back to the International Desk. The World Health Organization says a second case of Ebola has been confirmed in the city of Goma, a major transit hub in the Democratic Republic of Congo, just across from the Rwanda border. That is a concern because there's a high risk of the disease spreading among the highly mobile population. The outbreak has already killed more than 1,700 people in the country. Officials say they're taking every precaution to try and contain the spread of this disease. Well, the Sudanese government is suspending all schools nationwide until further notice. It's in response to widespread student protests this week. 6 people so far have died after crackdowns on demonstrations in the city of El Obeid on Monday, and that has only sparked more protests. Sudan has been in a state of political flux since April, when the long-time dictator Omar al-Bashir was overthrown. Well, in the U.S., police are investigating the mass shooting at a food festival in California that they now say they believe the gunman acted alone. But they are still following up on leads. An FBI agent says authorities are doing 3D mapping of the crime scene. It's so vast that it will take several days to process. Well, CNN's Stephanie Elam spoke with the family of a 13-year-old who died in the attack, and she joins me now. And Steph, there were obviously 3 people killed in this attack, a 13-year-old among those gunned down by an AK-47. Just explain for us what her family is saying.
Well, Lynda, it was supposed to be a lovely family outing for Keyla Salazar and her family. Instead, the family is shattered by what happened. I spoke to her uncle, who's more like a big brother since they grew up together, and he's just a couple of years older. And he is riddled with guilt that he wasn't there for her in the time that he sees as when she needed him the most.
She was so innocent, she didn't know what danger was. She didn't know anything about that.
Giordano Pimentel called himself a protector of his 13-year-old niece, Keyla Salazar.
It is 100% impossible to tell you how I am feeling.
Tall and shy, Keyla loved making YouTube videos with her uncle, who grew up in the same house. At just 16, Giordano was more like her big brother, shooting videos of Kayla's birthday party last year.
Kayla, look at me.
But on Sunday, he wasn't with her at another family tradition, the Gilroy Garlic Festival. And now, Giordano is saturated with guilt.
It's just painful how I couldn't actually do what I promised I was going to do. And she trusted me. She believed in me.
No, this wasn't your fault. You couldn't have stopped this from happening.
If I was there, she'd probably be here. And she will probably do way more than what I'm doing right now. She was just such a wonderful person.
Watch out, guys! Kayla's stepdad was shot in the arm, and in the mayhem, was separated from the rest of the family. Kayla was shot in the torso, the bullet exiting out her back, her uncle says.
I can't think what she was thinking. I can't imagine being on the ground. Where's my uncle? Where's my family? Where's everyone when I need them? And just staying there alone, scared.
In the chaos, the family was separated. Her mom began a frantic search for Kayla.
You can imagine a mom looking for her kid at every emergency room, calling every possible number. We have friends driving from 2 hours away to try to help look for Kayla.
It wasn't until around 3 a.m. when the family finally got answers. In the days since, Kayla's mother also went to the hospital, stricken with panic attacks, Giordano says.
It's not natural. The parents are the ones that should die first. I can't imagine how hard it is for her.
All this when the family should be celebrating Kayla's 14th birthday on Sunday.
Yeah, we were preparing to have a birthday cake and be able to, be with her. And so now we have to prepare for a funeral.
She will do way more for everyone else than for herself. She was like an angel.
And Giordano tells me that Kayla really, really was working to do her chores, to get everything done so that she could get a golden retriever puppy for her birthday. He says the family is thinking about it. He thinks they should go ahead and get that puppy and maybe name it Sharky, which was her name when she played video games. Also that they have another reason to honor Kayla and remember her within the family as they're going through so much right now, Lynda.
They certainly are. Stephanie Elam, absolutely horrific for any family to deal with this, the loss of such a young person. Thank you so much for that report. Well, still to come, we're going to take you inside a debate watch party in a state where voters will get their very first say on which Democrat will face Donald Trump.
Frankly, it's overwhelming. And I think sometimes I'm almost going to the point where I'm thinking, who can I eliminate rather than who can I elect?
Hey you, sorry you couldn't make it to the Philippines, but it's okay. We haven't been up to much. There's just no escaping the heat. All we do is take showers. We keep getting lost. We can't wait for the day to end. I'm kidding! We're having a blast. The only thing that would make it better is if you were here too.
The CNN Democratic presidential debates. Biden, Harris, Booker, Yang, Castro, Gabbard, Gillibrand, Inslee, Bennett, de Blasio. Night 2 of the CNN Democratic debates on CNN.
The journey to the top for a successful business in Africa starts with an idea. But how does a concept become a moneymaker? African and global industry leaders share their stories. Saturday on Profit Point in CNN Marketplace Africa in association with Dangote.
A man of the people, a moderate Muslim. Joko Widodo is the president of Indonesia. This month, we sit down with Jokowi in his first international TV interview since his re-election to talk about the desperate need for change and economic reform.
Do you feel that you have the mandate to accomplish these goals?
If I can, I will fight to the best of my ability.
And get his thoughts on the rise of Islamic fundamentalism.
Talk Asia, today on CNN.
The Great Barrier Reef.
Once a vibrant ecosystem full of life, now struggling to cope with the Earth's scorching temperatures. I'm at the Great Barrier Reef. It's one of the natural wonders of the world, and it's in trouble. CNN takes you to see the damage firsthand and meet people spearheading projects in the race to save the reef.
Saturday on CNN.
I'm Michael Holmes on the Mexico-Guatemala border, and this is CNN.
Welcome back to the International Desk. I'm Lynda Kinkade. Well, the stage is set for day 2 of the Democratic presidential debates hosted by CNN. The second 10 candidates take to the stage in Detroit just hours from now. And with such a crowded field, this could be their last chance to make an impression with voters before some fall away from the pack. In the first debate Tuesday, it was a clash of moderates and progressives, putting the divisions in the Democratic Party on full display. Of course, Iowa has a special role to play in the U.S. presidential elections. By tradition, it is the first state in the nation to hold nominating contests. So it is closely watched for clues about how the race will go. CNN's Vanessa Yukovic talked to Iowa voters who were watching the debate Tuesday to see what they're thinking so far.
Iowans get a lot of visits from the Democratic field.
We've seen them all, from Bernie to Joe Sestak. They're all been here.
But voters here at a watch party in Cedar Rapids were eager to hear more from the candidates.
I want to hear about women's rights. I want to hear about race relations. And I want to hear about climate change.
Beto O'Rourke resonated with some voters here, talking tariffs and farmers.
The question was about tariffs, and they're a huge mistake. And farmers in Iowa and across the country are bearing the brunt of the consequences.
It hits home with almost anybody. You can ask anybody you work with, oh yeah, my uncle's a farmer. Farming is our state, so it's huge.
Elizabeth Warren was a standout in the crowd.
I feel like Warren really did. It felt like no matter where pressure was coming from, where different topics were coming from, she was able to handle it and take it up a few notches from that, too.
The campaigns sending their representatives here, too, making what could be last-ditch efforts to connect with voters.
I think the stakes are much higher. And I think people like Delaney, although I think he's a very decent man, I think, as you know, his own people are saying it's time to step back. And I think a lot of them will step back if they don't knock it out of the ballpark.
With stakes running high, some candidates lagging in the polls were able to shine.
I've actually been impressed with some of the things that Marianne Williamson has been saying. This is my first opportunity to really hear what she's had to say on certain issues. And while there's not a lot of specifics, she's definitely, I think, speaking to the values and the morals of the country.
Even after a nearly 3-hour debate, picking a front-runner got even harder for some.
Frankly, it's overwhelming. And I think sometimes I'm almost going to the point where I'm thinking, who can I eliminate rather than who can I elect?
Vanessa Yukovic, CNN, Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Well, joining us now to discuss much more on all of this is CNN political commentator Maria Cardona. Good to have you with us, Maria.
Thanks for having me, Lynda.
President Trump said he was watching last night because he wanted to know who he'll be running against. From what you saw last night, Maria, was the next president of the United States on that stage last night?
Well, as you know, Lynda, it's still very, very early in the process. It's going to be at least 6 months until a vote is actually cast in Iowa, as you were talking about Iowa just now in your piece. So I think that there's still a lot of time to figure that out. I do think that if not the president on the stage last night, definitely a vice president. I think that what we saw last night was what the American people have in front of them, which is an incredibly talented, experienced cadre of candidates who will be, first of all, everyone on that stage last night and everyone on the stage tonight would be a much better president than President Trump is currently. And everyone, I think, is offering a plethora of policies and visions for the country, whether you look at if you stand with the moderates or if you stand with the progressives. I think what we're having is an incredibly robust conversation about where Democrats want to take this country, in contrasting with where we are right now with President Trump in the Oval Office, where so many people feel like our American values are being denigrated every time he speaks and every time he takes to Twitter.
And I want to get your take on that, because we did see some back and forth between the progressives and the moderates, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, on the defense some of the time when they were attacked, pretty much being told that their plans were unrealistic. I just want to play some sound of Senator Warren defending her policy.
I don't understand why anybody goes to all the trouble of running for president of the United States just to talk about what we really can't do and shouldn't fight for.
That was her attack back at Maryland Congressman Delaney, of course. What sort of fight do you think they put up last night?
You know, I think that line was certainly the standout line of the night. And I think what it demonstrated is that there are a lot of people within the Democratic base that are really hungry for passion, for big change ideas, for ways to tackle what we've been talking about, our structural deficiencies in this country. And I think it goes back to, and this is an interesting and a really important point, as President Trump keeps talking about this incredibly great, historically amazing economy. Well, this good economy, it looks good on paper for so many people at the top. It does not look that great and does not feel that great if you're a farmer whose farm is about to go out to business because of the president's trade tariffs. If you're Latino or an African American who has to hold down 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. Those are the things that our candidates are going to be presenting on. And we saw it last night. I think Elizabeth Warren was fantastic in all of her detailed positioning on all of the issues that she's offering the American people.
And Maria, I just want to get your take on tonight, because we're going to see former Vice President Joe Biden take to the stage up against, of course, we remember Kamala Harris and their back and forth last time at the last debate. Is he prepared to take on her tonight?
He better be, because I will say that he was lackluster in the last debate. Now, from everything that I'm hearing, and I've spoken to people on his campaign, he's got great people around him. He is prepared. He's got to be prepared to bring it. I don't think that he should, nor does he need to attack anyone, including Kamala Harris. Right now, he is leading substantially in the polls, but he does need to be prepared, because there is a huge target on his back tonight. He's going to be flanked by Kamala Harris, who, as you mentioned, was the one that he had the back and forth with in last time's debate last month, and with Cory Booker, who also has made it very clear that he is going to go after Vice President Biden, and frankly, he needs to if he wants to continue to be a player in this. And I think that's another point, right? We have 20 candidates. There are many candidates for whom these debates, these CNN debates, will be the last time that they are going to be on stage nationally because of what is at stake. So we'll see what happens moving forward.
Exactly. About half of those candidates will be gone by the time we have the next debate in September. Maria Cardona, as always, thank you.
Thank you so much, Lynda.
When we come back, it may not seem like the most obvious place to discuss a peace plan for the Middle East, but you may be surprised at the lessons learned at a brewery in the West Bank. Stay with us for that story.
Winning Post, an elegant life in association with Longines.
Gold Cup Day at Royal Ascot is renowned for high-end fashion and world-class sport, and I'm catching up with a regular attendee who encompasses both those things, Olympic cycling champion turned jockey Victoria Pendleton.
Are you here, is it primarily to focus on the horse racing, or do you enjoy a bit of people watching and all the fashion?
It will always be about the racing. I love to go and see the horses in the paddock and make my choices there. And I think it's always nice to also go and stand on the railing and feel the power of the horses thundering past, because I think for me that was my first impression of racing, was when you could almost, the sensation of the speed as the hooves kind of cross the turf is something very kind of, it gets you deep in your sort of heart. feel it, the vibration. There's something primal about it, something quite beautiful.
Winning Post, an elegant life in association with Longines.
Welcome back. With the Trump administration is trying to bring peace to the Middle East with a financial plan. But our Michael Holmes travelled to a successful brewery where he learned that you can't run a business in the West Bank without coming up against political roadblocks.
The Taiba Brewery in the West Bank is a Palestinian success story, producing 600,000 litres a year shipped locally to Israel and to 15 countries from Morocco to the US. It's a family-owned enterprise started 25 years ago and now run by a second generation of Khoury family brewers. And for all of those 25 years, the family has negotiated myriad obstacles, just getting their brew to markets abroad. It's a windy day here in the West Bank, but we wanted to come up here to show you the water tanks, because one thing you cannot make beer without is water. And water has always been a big issue in the West Bank. Israel controls the water supply. Taiba beer, like all Palestinians, they get an allowance. Once that allowance runs out, that's it. You want more, you have to pay for a tanker to ship it in.
At the moment in the summertime, that's when we feel the water shortage. That's when you want to brew more beer, and that's when we have water coming once a week.
Under the 1995 Oslo II agreement, Israel retained ultimate control over water resources. But Kogat, the Israeli military authority responsible for civilians in the West Bank, says the brewery is in a Palestinian-controlled area and the Palestinian authorities are responsible. In essence, when it comes to water issues, both sides blame the other. The latest attempt to untangle the Israeli-Palestinian conflict took place in Bahrain a few weeks ago. The US president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, unveiling an economic plan for Palestinians, one criticized by many for rehashing old ideas, being vague about implementation and putting off political solutions for later. Madis Khoury and her family say economic dreams are pointless without a political settlement first.
We need to resolve the political issue. We need to go back to negotiating and resolving the political problems, and then talk about the economy and economic solutions.
So when you heard that plan, what did you think?
I just brushed it off.
Instead of aid or vague investment promises, Madis Khoury says much could be achieved by the easing of Israeli restrictions. Taxes, red tape, rules and regulations, she says, are for Palestinians only. The first roadblock, a literal one, the Israeli checkpoint between the West Bank and Israel.
If you would look at the map, you would see the distance between our town Taiba to Haifa port, which we use to export. On the map, it's an hour-and-a-half drive. In reality, it actually takes 3 days if everything moves smoothly, which it never does.
Israel's Kogat says those claims are, quote, not consistent with reality. The checkpoint transit times for goods are down to an average 90 minutes, and further improvements are planned. The Khourys disagree, but back in Taiba, the family will continue to brew and wait. Their business a microcosm of the broader economic hurdles that confront the Palestinian economy. Hurdles the Khoury family say won't be cleared without there being that political settlement. Something that looks more remote now than ever before, although Madis's father, Nadim, is the eternal optimist.
Someday we will be free. We have high hope in the future. Nothing left for us except the high hope.
Michael Holmes, CNN, Taiba in the West Bank.
I'm Lynda Kinkade. That was the International Desk. I'll be back with in a few minutes with Connect the World. World Sport is next.
Look, cleaning the outside of your windows is a real chore.
And who wants to climb a dangerous ladder just to get to the second floor? Not anymore. Hi, I'm John Florell, the Fuller Brush Man. And this is Full Crystal from the Fuller Brush Company. The fastest, easiest way to clean all of your windows in minutes, not days. Just add the cleaning crystals, attach it to any garden hose, and away you go. The secret is in the Fuller cleaning crystals that dissolve dust, dirt, pollen, and grime in no time. And here's the best part. You don't have to remove your screens because Full Crystal cleans them too. Watch what I'm gonna do. This screen may look clean, but look how Full Crystal blasts away the dust, pollen, dirt, and grime while it cleans your window at the same time. And that'll save you a ton of time. Look, even with the ladder, you couldn't reach that window. But with the Full Crystal Power Sprayer, you can clean windows up to 27 feet high. Simply aim, spray, and walk away, leaving your windows spot-free, streak-free, and with both feet securely on the ground. For a clean so clear, your windows will virtually disappear. Plus, it's completely safe for all of your plants, lawns, shrubs, and flowers. Call or go online now to order the complete Full Crystal system with enough cleaning crystals for up to 20 windows for the factory direct price of just $19.99. But order right now and we'll double the cleaning crystals. Enough for up to 40 windows, just pay a separate fee. Fuller cleaning crystals are made in the USA. And remember, it's from the Fuller Brush Company, so your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. Call or go online to buyfullcrystal.com. That's buyfullcrystal.com. And ask about Full Exterior to easily clean dirt and grime from all around the exterior of your house in no time. Order now.
Hello, welcome to CNN World Sport. I'm Alex Thomas in London. Major League Baseball's trading deadline is just over 5 hours away, with many of the league's top teams looking to bolster their squads as they make a run at the World Series title. Tensions run high at this time of year, which might explain a massive brawl in Tuesday night's game between the Reds and the Pirates in Cincinnati. It included a player who reportedly had just been traded. Coy Wire has more.
Alex, like oil and water, these division rivals do not like each other. This is actually the second time this season the benches have cleared. And you can feel things getting out of control in this one. In the 7th inning, the Pirates, they're up big. And watch how this pitch sails just inches over the head of the Reds batter, Derek Dietrich. Now, didn't hit him, but that got the blood boiling, recalling some of those ill feelings from the last brawl. And then in the 9th, Reds pitcher Amir Garrett gave up a 3-run homer. He's yelling at the Pirates bench, and then he takes off on a full-on sprint towards the dugout, throwing a haymaker. It's like he wants to take on the entire city of Pittsburgh himself. His teammates finally arrive. Garrett eventually gets pulled away. He's flexing. Afterwards, he said the pitch over Dietrich's head is what set him off.
It just gets to a point where, you know, nobody's protecting us. And, you know, like I said, I can't tell you really much what happened. You know, I was angry. You know, today it wasn't about baseball. You know, it was just about protecting my teammates and you know, protecting this brotherhood.
It seems like every time Amir gets on the field, he's looking to fight, not looking to play baseball. It was extremely uncalled for. The way he went about it, I think, was extremely wrong. If a guy comes at you, you got to stand your ground. So,
in all, 8 ejected, including the Reds' Yasiel Puig, who seemed to reignite the brawl just as things started to calm down. But listen to this. Puig wasn't even technically part of the team anymore. He didn't know it yet, but reports of the Reds trading him to the Cleveland Indians started surfacing 10 minutes earlier. The Cuban found out about the deal after the game. The Reds got pitcher Trevor Bauer in return. Bauer, remember, was so angry about being taken out of Sunday's game, he threw the ball from the pitcher's mound over the center field wall. This is the biggest deal we've seen so far, but we could see a lot of action just before the 4 p.m. Eastern trade deadline, Alex. Tons of teams still thinking they're in the playoff race, and all of them, they're looking for the same thing. Pitching. Teams that are in a position to sell are asking for a lot, so it'll be interesting to see if clubs are willing to pay a steep price to stay in the race.
Coy Wire at CNN Center. Now, Jill Ellis, the first woman to coach a team to back-to-back FIFA World Cup titles, is standing down from her job with the U.S. national women's side. She'll leave the post in October, but will stay on at US Soccer in the short term while figuring out her long-term future. Ellis said it has been an amazing ride. The timing of this is not just geared towards me on a personal level, but also for the program as it prepares to start a new cycle. It just felt right, it felt good, and I'm in a really good place with the decision. Ellis was born in England but moved to the USA as a teenager. She's been the US women's team coach since May 2014. The USA won 8 tournaments with Ellis at the helm, including the last 2 World Cups. She was named FIFA World Coach of the Year in 2015 and has been nominated again this year. Track and Field's global governing body, the IAAF, say it welcomes a Swiss court ruling that means Caster Semenya will miss the World Athletics Championships in Doha in September. The controversial South African runner, who is the reigning world and Olympic champion at 800 metres, has DSD, or differences of sex development, and she had originally won a suspension through the Swiss legal system of new IAAF rules governing testosterone levels in DSD athletes. That suspension of the new rules was overturned on Monday. Part of an IAAF statement read, "There are some contexts, sport being one of them, where biology has to trump gender identity, which is why the IAAF believes that the DSD regulations are a necessary, reasonable and proportionate means of protecting fair and meaningful competition in elite female athletics." Zinedine Zidane gives new life to the Gareth Bale saga, but it's not his main concern. We'll tell you about that and another top transfer target, giving us a tour of his hometown.
South Africa, where the Atlantic and the Indian Oceans meet. Here you'll meet the unexpected. You'll meet new ideas, shared over interesting plates mixed with classes of different opinions. You'll meet an energy unlike in any other place, in the very place where our humanity began. And you'll meet a piece of yourself that will be forever changed. South Africa. Meet here, grow anywhere.
A man of the people, a moderate Muslim. Joko Widodo is the president of Indonesia. This month, we sit down with Jokowi in his first international TV interview since his re-election to talk about the desperate need for change and economic reform.
Do you feel that you have the mandate to accomplish these goals?
If I can, I will fight to the best of my ability.
And get his thoughts on the rise of Islamic fundamentalism.
Talk Asia, today on CNN.
Hello, you're watching World Sport on CNN. I'm Alex Thomas in London. Welcome back. The chasm between Zinedine Zidane and one of his most expensive players at Real Madrid seems to be growing after the manager appeared to contradict the reason for Gareth Bale's absence from the Audi Cup. It was reported that Bale missed the trip because he wasn't in the right frame of mind after Real blocked his transfer to China's Super League. But Zidane suggested the player was actually diagnosed with an illness. His comments coming after seeing his side slumped to a third pre-season defeat in 4 games. England's Harry Kane clinching a 1-0 victory for Tottenham Hotspur in Germany on Tuesday.
A mistake at the back bar.
No, he didn't travel with us because he didn't feel that well. And after speaking with the doctors, it was decided that the best thing for him was to stay in Madrid. And that's what we did. He stayed there to train and that's it. It's a decision we made all together with the doctors and with me speaking with him, and that's it. We're not ready yet. That's evident. We're going to recuperate more time on the pitch, more confidence, and more everything. We're going to charge ahead, because that's what we need right now. It's just to win a game, really.
Zidane looking for answers after poor early season or pre-season form. And with the transfer windows across Europe's top leagues still open, Gareth Bale's future is far from the only one being debated. Dozens of players are still not sure whether or not they'll be at a different club before the new football season kicks off. And one of them is Crystal Palace forward Wilfried Zaha. The former England international has often been linked with a move to some of the bigger clubs in England's Premier League. And this summer's no different, although, as our partners at Copper 90 found out, Zaha has a strong bond with South London.
I'm with Salazar and I was made local in Croydon. I'm proud to be from here and I'm glad that I'm still here because it's like I've reached my dream. I've managed to become a professional footballer, and I'm still in the area where I made it. Still around my people, still around my friends, so I feel like you can do it too, do you know what I mean? That's why I'm proud to be from here, man. I think the local communities help massively because it's a mindset where everyone wants to help everyone succeed, really. You can actually reach your goals. There's different opportunities if you choose to take them. Seeing the lights, seeing how crowded the road was, seeing how happy it made everyone, hearing so much noise, I used to think, what is going on over there? I was like, I wanted to be part of it.
I remember going to the playoffs against Brighton.
Yeah, that was mad.
And you scored that scatty header.
Yeah. Mate,
And then
people
done the-
think,
and then
people
done
think
the
I
belly
can't
dive thing.
Yeah, people think I can't use my head or whatever. Boy, there's the evidence. Semi-finals, someone had to step up, obviously.
Yep, and so did Kevin Phillips.
What are you on about? What is this guy on about? I'm around my friends, I'm around my family, and one thing that's special to me, the main thing about being local and home is the fact that I can reason with my dad after games. Do you know what I mean? So we'll sit down and go through my game and what he liked and what I liked. There was a period where my dad had a stroke. Like, he lived away from me, but as soon as he had a stroke, it's just a eye-opener that I need to keep him close. Do you know what I mean? He's not as young as he was before. So, yeah, now, like, on a Friday before games, he tends to pray with me before the games. So, yeah, but if I wasn't home, I wouldn't be able to do that. I literally owe it all to my dad because he played football when he was younger. Obviously not at a professional level, but he had love for football. And he's always said to me, I had love for it. So it's only right for me to help you pursue your dream. Like, he would have done whatever he needed to do to get me to training. If it's to take bus, if it's to drive, and even if it meant that he's breaking down, but getting me there, he'd do it. So yeah, he had a massive part to play in my story.
Crystal Palace star Wilfried Zaha speaking to Copper 90. That's your World Sport. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye-bye.
If you just want a slice of pizza, you don't buy the whole pie. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why pay for more than you need? For as low as $20 a month, you can get talk, text, and data from Consumer Cellular with no contract and connections on the nation's largest wireless networks. You'll also receive award-winning support. Consumer Cellular has received the J.D. Power Award for highest customer service again. Plus, AARP members get exclusive discounts. Switch to Consumer Cellular today. With our 30-day guarantee, it's completely risk-free. Call, go online, or find us at Target.
Vi que tenían a mi amigo amarrado de sus manos y de sus pies y con una venda en su cara. Es que ahora lo vas a matar, me dijo.
Ya me dijo que ya no me iban a dejar salir. Me llevaron y pues me empezaron a vender con hombres.
You've heard it in the news. It's happening right now. Thousands are fleeing gang violence in and around Central America. Millions more are leaving Venezuela to escape violence, insecurity, and threats. These refugee children desperately need your help today. With your gift to USA for UNHCR, you can help provide urgently needed food, clean water, and safety to children and families who are fleeing for their lives. Go to forcetoflee.org and donate just $19 a month right now. Help bring peace and safety to these innocent children today. Go online with your $19 monthly support now.
The CNN Democratic presidential debates. Biden, Harris, Booker, Yang, Castro, Gabbard, Gillibrand, Inslee, Bennett, de Blasio. Night 2 of the CNN Democratic debates on CNN.
One time I dropped my lunch. Everyone was laughing. It's hard to know what to do when you see someone getting picked on, but you can make a big difference by being a friend.
a metaphor for everyday life. What I would like to do is inspire other people to take on their own Everest.
It's a very unique environment to be in. There's a lot of emotion here right now.
I just feel such a letdown.
A three-part series on CNN.
I don't think I've ever seen anywhere quite like this. It's otherworldly. It's a bit scary here, if I'm to be honest. Today really was the never-ending day.
The Challenge Everest on CNN.
I'm Anderson Cooper. This is CNN.
A bruising night of debate, and round two is just ahead. We're live in Detroit, Michigan, as more 2020 Democratic candidates are set to face off. Also, North Korea orders the US and South Korea to cancel upcoming military exercises, calling them reckless and suicidal. And conflicting details are emerging in the gruesome killing of an Italian police officer. We're going to go live to Rome with the latest on that case that has rocked Italy. Hello and welcome to Connect the World. I'm Lynda, Kinkade, live from CNN's world headquarters here in Atlanta. Good to have you with us. Well, if you thought Tuesday night's debate was fiery and full of heated exchanges, just wait until round two. We're counting down to the second CNN presidential debate in Detroit, Michigan, now just hours away.